Like a Hellcat. Like a hell. Like a Hellcat.
Yeah, and we're live, I guess, just like that. Welcome to SLE Award Show. This is Mikus and Linus. How did Linus get my actual picture? No, just kidding. That is not me. But the annual award show is live. One of the most exciting moments of the season. I know that a lot of players are really looking forward to this moment when we show the results of the voting, show who is really getting the big appreciation and love from the community and from the players themselves. And another banger of a podcast slash episode with us too, Linus, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm so excited to be back. I think it's always such a great moment. You're done with the regular season, you're just heading into playoffs, and then you have this award show, which is just bringing up hype and just appreciating all the people who make the SLE the SLE.
Yeah, but as some SLE followers have used to, they already know that we won't just present awards. We won't just give you instantly the sweet spot, the sweets of the stream. We will have a conversation here. We will do some review, and I think. The things that we will start the stream off are talking about the past regular season. I think it was one of the best regular seasons that we have had. Definitely top 2 or top 3. But yeah, how do you feel about it, Linus? How was your season from both admin and player standpoint?
Okay. First I would talk about like from an admin standpoint. I think it was really great. I think content production or content creation was at an all-time high. Yes, we didn't have that many articles, but we had podcasts. We had people like Rain D doing his Into the Swamp with God of Hex. We had the Gucci podcasts that were also there. And I just think that's really, really cool. And also, I had the feeling that like last split was a pretty toxic one. Like some people took it way too serious, also like took content and also like banter too serious. And I think this split got so much better in that case. Like people just take everything so much nicer and the communication is better. And I enjoyed it a lot as an admin. As a player, I also think it was really fun. I mean, my team started off with like a 7-0 record, then we broke down and we like only won 2 of the last remaining games, but it was enough to get us to playoffs. And yeah, I think this was a great split, honestly.
Absolutely agree. That's a great point you make there. That the season was way less kind of toxic than it has ever been, to be fair. There was little to no kind of mean-spirited drama. There was some banter, there was some trash talk in shitposting channel especially, but it went through quite easily. And I think we didn't have a single kind of a suspension or ban during the split. Only one team dropped out, which was Primordials. And their situation was just that they could not find time to play, so that just sometimes be like that. But other than that, yeah, first time we didn't ban a single team, and it was a very, very positive change for SLE. But let's talk about what actually happened during the split. I think you have some categories prepared for us, and let's go through the big high points of this regular season.
Exactly, because of course we have the MVPs. Everyone wants to see the awards, right? But we have our own little categories about the split, where we have basically chosen our team or player for this award or for the category. And I think we can start with the first one, which is the biggest improvement. What do you got there, Mikas?
For me, actually, when you sent me some of these questions, I wrote down 2. So if you answer first, so I have like a backup thing to shout out. But biggest improvement, it's in a kind of an award for player or a team that participated in previous SLE seasons. And for me, there's two main ones. The first one for me definitely is Silver Phoenix, a team that last time missed the playoffs, and in this season. Was arguably more tighter, more competitive at the qualification for playoffs. For example, teams like Black Lotus just made the playoffs at 16th position, while last season I think they were something like 10th. And yeah, Silver Phoenix last time missed the playoffs completely. This season kind of improved a lot, eliminated Gucci Yang from playoff from their playoff run, and yeah, qualified quite respectful position, and kind of gave a run for the money to the Black Flag Slayers in the playoffs already. But they're not out, and I think that team is definitely a one to deserve a lot of respect.
Yeah, I feel so too. I'm a big fan of Silver Phoenix. They've also played in the Manta Cup. We've scrimmed between the splits. They're a really active team, and I'm really happy to see them succeed and do better than last split. I think it was a shame that they didn't make playoffs last split. But yeah, so one of your two choices is Silver Phoenix. I can give my choice, and you can tell me then if you have a third one or if you just double my choice.
Yeah.
I actually have Eternal Blizzard there. Eternal
Oh,
Blizzard, for those who don't know, I was thinking about other teams, but then I was like, hey, Eternal Blizzard in Split 3 was the supposed super team in quotations. You had Ichi, you had Shiki, you had Loco, Kim Jensen, Michi Darko, all players that are really decorated at this point,
yeah.
over a year later. And back then, Eternal Blizzard, it felt really rough. They nearly got sent to Division 2. They just made it, I think, as the fourth seed into playoffs. And then they got eliminated by Black Manta. Like they didn't have a good split when you look at the roster. And right now, I think this is the Eternal Blizzard team that we could have expected back then if everything clicked. And that's why I think it's the biggest improvement.
Yeah, I can see that. You kind of took like a deeper historical angle, and I have to agree with that. Then again, that Eternal Blizzard was more of a disappointment. This time, I feel like they play on a level that we expect from guys like these. But the other mention for me was Solaris. There is also another team that almost that didn't go that high in the regular season of season 5, even though their roster is always respected. This time they are one of the top teams in SLE, and I think they got through the first round of playoffs already as well. And I think like that team has some gunpowder to shoot.
Yeah, I feel so as well. Do you want to go over to the next category?
Yeah, absolutely. Next category for us is the biggest disappointment. And sadly, right here, I need to talk about my own boys. Gucci Yang being the first Gucci team to not qualify for playoffs. A terrible moment for me, as that's the team's one of that team's founders. And it kind of shown signs of disappointment already, like in the preseason, once that team wasn't fully established, fully filled out the roster until the last moments before applying. But even without the issues internally, I think missing the playoffs is a huge L and a black stain on a dark stain, I'd rather say, in the history of Gucci.
Yeah, I feel so as well. I also have Gucci Yang as a choice, but I think there's a second team that you could have named, which is Vintage and Pearl. In the end, my choice went to Yang because Pearl made playoffs, even though it's only the 15th seed. I just feel like
Yeah.
those two orgs, Gucci and Vitagen, like both of them are the two biggest orgs of SLE history, right? Like Vitagen has won like one regular season and one whole split. Gucci has won one regular season, I feel like, as well, and then additionally 3 titles. So it's the two biggest orgs, and they always create a team in order to win, right? Like you want to compete. The rosters have really good players, and this young roster is the first one ever to not live up to the standard. The same as Vintage and Pearl, but Pearl made it slightly into the playoffs, so that's why I also went with Gucci Yang.
Yeah, but with the biggest disappointments, let's flip it around and talk about the biggest surprises. What do you have there, Linus? This time you go first.
Yeah, I actually have a player on there, and that player is Shusakyu of Black Lotus, the AD carry. Why do I have Shusakyu there? I was thinking about teams first, but there was not really a team that surprised me in a positive way, only in negative ways. I think there were some teams that performed a bit higher than I would have thought, but not a team that was completely bursting onto the scene. Shusaki, on the other side, played on a team that was out of playoffs for the most time. Like they were on like the bottom spots for the most split. And then Shusaki had like some really good games. I remember the one series where he played Draven. Game 1, the whole team played for him. He went 8-0 something on Draven, completely smurfed it. Game 2, his opponents, I think it was the Crimsons, Dawn Crimson Flames. Game 2, he played Draven again, They did everything so he doesn't get any kills. He was on 0 kills at minute 30 and had like nearly 2,000 stacks because he didn't die. He played super patiently, and in one fight he threw his ult, got the kill, got this huge shutdown, and the gold lead. They were down like 5k gold. They were up after that fight, and he just completely smurfed it till the end. And I think he is the main reason why Black Lotus is in playoffs, and that's why I give him the biggest surprise because I didn't expect him to really do anything.
I've always actually wondered. That's like a side thing. Maybe someone in the chat can tell me, can answer this question. If Draven just keeps stacking those axes, right? If he keeps stacking that ultimate, can he just one shot a squishy champion with the ultimate, like with an instant execution? Does it work like that? Anyways, for me, the biggest surprise is it's kind of like towards you and the rest of Sanctuary Org. I just wrote down in my notes the rise of Sanctuary because I think every single season we have had you and Sanctuary, basically the German teams, and they're definitely a welcome addition to SLE, but they're always quite like not bad, but somewhere in the middle, you know. But this time, every single Sanctuary team qualifying for playoffs, even Black Lotus, which is maybe a little bit of a surprise, with teams like Yang and Peach Wolf maybe missing it. And in the second place, in the fourth place, Black Sailors started out the season with 7-0, which was quite a surprise. And very very solid season by Sanctuary Organ. I have to give the flowers when they are deserved, you know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I would not have picked that, but obviously, I think it's a great choice. But yeah, I think we can go over to the next category, which is the series or the match of the regular season. Which was
I think we will agree on this one. Though.
Let me guess. It's a game that you or a match that you casted with Sovonix ago, not that long ago. I think
yes, that is exactly that one. Yeah.
Okay, Vitagen Diamond against Eternal Blizzard is our choice then.
Yeah, I think I kind of have a feeling that it will be your choice as well, and I feel like it's one of the best series that we have had in SLE history, honestly.
Yeah, and it was so great to watch. You were there to cast, which is even better, I think, than just watching.
Oh yeah, absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just loved how it was going back and forth, how everyone on both teams had their moments. Like you had Hex in the first game who was like popping off partially. You had Benjamin who no one expected. And he solo killed Hex with Cho'Gath against the Gwen, and there were so many things that were just like really, really nice. So yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Loved to cast with it with Sovonix. Sovonix's cast was also great. I feel like I also I had my mouth full of great words to say, and everything basically turned out perfectly in that game, those two games. And I just pray to the gods of SLE that we will get that matchup in playoffs. I think everybody wants that.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we get a rematch, and I hope we get a lot of good series. But yeah, who's your favorite to win this Splits SLE title?
Honestly, like there are some teams that are definitely up there that have a chance. I feel like everyone's favorite must be Eternal Blizzard after the dominant regular season they had. Of course, the returning the current champions, Gucci Yin, have their shot as well. But my pick actually to win it all will be the same as I had in the beginning of the split, and it will be Wacky Rates because they are returning with the same roster. We know that this team gets stronger in playoffs. You know that this team like has their playstyle ironed out to the last note, and it's something can help a lot when you have higher pressure situations. And we saw that during last season's playoffs. Some players say that some SLE followers say that last season had tougher teams in the playoffs with teams like Blazing Pandas and Vitagen, the full Vitagen squad, Gucci Yin that Vakivets almost took down in the playoffs. So for me, they are the favorites, even with going second in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, Vakivres is definitely a solid pick. I think there are a few teams that you could name if you don't want to name Eternal Blizzard. I actually also decided not to name Eternal Blizzard. Of course, they are the team that everyone will put Eternal Blizzard on one, but it would be boring if we would just be like, yeah, it's Eternal Blizzard and done. And I
No,
actually
yeah.
I
Go
was
ahead, go ahead.
thinking about two teams here, and that were Gucci Yin and Vitagen Diamond. And I think that Vitagen Diamond has a really good shot. Yes,
Mhm.
their top laner is pretty good for like the elo that he brings to the team. Like he's low elo, the rest of his team is pretty high, and he's balancing that out. But he's playing a really good weak side, and I think that Shipex can take over every game against every team. Like if Shipex gets into the game, he can solo win every game, and I feel like that's why there might be a second Vitagen title this split. Who knows?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I feel like what the roster that Wacky Raids have built up for themselves, I feel like it's kind of like matchup-wise counters what Vintage and Diamond are doing, and they did 2-0 them in the last week as well. And I don't think we saw Wacky Raids go up against Eternal Blizzard, and that's kind of the Wacky Raids also have a kind of a similar team to the Vintage and Diamond, but I think Wacky Raids just have more like ironed out play style. They have more preparation. They have more experience playing together. That's why I think they are the favorites. And again, last time we saw Eternal Blizzard in playoffs, they choked quite a bit. They were not as good. I think they were even better in the regular season. Last time in that season 3, but it's still so long ago. Still, they will have to show up in playoffs and show that they can do what everyone expects them to do, and also they will have to break the regular season winner's curse. So far, only Gucci in season 3 have been able to do it. Every single other time the regular season winner gets kind of shows up quite poorly in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I on one side I really like the Blizzards, Eternal Blizzard, and I would like to see them succeed. But I also, always a bit satisfying when you see this team that dominated the regular season, not dominate that much in playoffs. It's way more interesting if like you have other teams that rise up, and teams that could rise up, but no one expects are usually called dark horses. And we also have chosen our dark horse for the playoffs. What's yours?
Well, for me, there are two teams. One of them, maybe the Gucci podcast followers will know that I will mention. It is, of course, Ragnarok. I think this team can defeat anyone in a like one series. I think this team can lose to everyone, but also they can defeat everyone because they have so much hidden talent in this squad. They are, I think, by far one second or last in the ELO rankings, an average ELO rank. From the whole SLE, but they just play together so well, and I feel like they're a bunch of solo queue sandbaggers. I think they are much better than their ranks show. And yeah, last night they 2-0 their first playoff matchup. By the way, I loved that you posted the third game as a spoiler free, like some some random screenshot from some football game. That was hilarious. But yeah, that team can absolutely do it. But another team I wanted to mention before I give you the mic. Can I even say that Vitagen Pearl is a dark horse because they are 15th. Their 15th seed. They are low. They are one of like underdogs with that logic. But I feel like the roster is so talented that this team can defeat Wacky Raids in round 1, even though I said that they're the favorites, and they can go all the way. They can repeat. They can return with the second championship.
Yeah, I actually totally agree on that one. I have Vintage and Pearl as my dark horse.
Oh, okay.
I think the team chronically underperformed. They had the issue that like they never had the same roster 2 matches in a row. They were swapping around a lot. I think Ant played like 3 different roles. You had Trululu on mid lane and ADC. But when they get their shit together, you have Dutch, who didn't have the best split, but who is one of the best junglers in the SLE still. I think if he gets his shit together, he can actually do a lot. You have Ant, you have Trululu, who is like bursting onto the SLE. I think Trululu had such a great split. Without Trululu, they wouldn't have made playoffs. And then you have, I think, LMR and no info on bot lane right now. You also, of course, still have Kolaski on your roster. You have Cyberscorks on your roster. You have Bartos on your roster. You have like a lot of good subs or good people who can fill in if you keep having the roster issues. But like still have a really good roster. And I just feel like they could get their shit together and they could become one of the best teams because the roster in theory was for me the best one before the split. Like I was hyping this team up and then they just let everyone down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Basically, we agreed on that one as well. But I just felt a little bit off about saying that this historic team is kind of a dark horse. It feels outrageous to say that.
Yeah. It feels weird. It feels weird to call that team the dark horse team. So I actually like your Ragnarok pick. But yeah, we're done with our own categories. Wanna tell us what's next on the list on the schedule?
I think we will stop teasing the followers and the watchers. I think we will go into the all SLE teams. We'll go with the third team, second team, and first team. But yeah, let's start out with the third team.
Sure. And there we have it, the third team. Is there anything that really surprises you on there?
I did count the votes and I saw how it like was created, this third team, and actually the contest for the third team was quite tight. There was a lot of potential players that could have won this third team honors, and maybe the only thing that maybe surprises me is that JL is only in the third team because he's often mentioned as one of the best junglers or in players in SLE history, and I think like he had a solid split. Maybe he didn't have that great of a split compared to the ones that were selected above him, but I think it was competitive enough for the name value to boost him up. Still, all SLE third split is quite a solid result for both of the Gucci boys here, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I think everyone on here deserves it, by the way. I think everyone on here had a really great split. Of course, you mentioned the Gucci guys already. I think God of Hex is popping off on top lane, which I didn't expect when I saw him role swapping from support to top, but then I heard that he played top lane beforehand, so yeah, and of course the two Sanctuary guys, Eret on support and Denzer on mid lane. I'm really proud of Denzer. I think he has improved a lot since last split. Like he always had this problem that he's like super flippy, that he's like he has really high highs. His mechanics are really good. His reaction times are really good. He has a really deep champion pool, but he's just playing too risky and like turning his brain off too often. And I think he has improved a lot from there. So I'm really happy to see that he gets like recognition. So yeah. Should we go over to the second team, or is there
Yeah,
anything
let's
you
do
wanted?
that.
Okay, then we go
Let's
over
go
to
in a second.
the second team, which is this one. Again,
Yeah.
you have some people that you might expect there, like Shiki Oren, who's of course not the first AEC, but like what do you have to say about the second team?
I have to shout out Zeus of the Villains mid laner. I am always happy to see new faces in some of these lists because they're often dominated by returning players. Returning players have the experience, they have the name recognition, they're quite often active in the chat, so people remember about them. And again, we see, for example, in this second team, 4 returning players, 1 rookie, and I think the Villains mid laner definitely deserves it. Other than that, I have to acknowledge, yeah, great seasons by all of these players, but I feel like maybe in some of the other SLE seasons they would have been up there with the first team, but there were just some selections that were a little bit stronger this time.
Yeah, and I think we can go over to those selections, which is this one, the Split 6 All SLE team. Of course, you see Eternal Blizzard is 3 times in this team. You have 3 appearances. IFX, Barack Ogama, and Loco, and I think that's pretty deserved. Do you want to tell us a bit more about like the other 2 people who are not on Eternal Blizzard?
Yeah, Jordi, another kind of. I think Jordi has been around in these Discord leagues for a long time, but he has finally arrived in SLE, and I think he's as well as a rookie. and he had an absolutely dominant season in the top lane. I think it was a little bit closer than some people say. I think the gap between Jordi and the closest other followers in the top lane is not as big as some people say, but he had definitely a strong season. The carry in the most important player for that Assassins and Green squad, and Sheepex, of course. I just casted him, and he had a star performance in that some of those last series. I didn't see his games against Wacky Rates, so maybe he was humbled a little bit by Butler. But
I
that
think
being
the whole
said,
team was
great,
really humbled. Like I think they were
great
stomped.
season.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Was it streamed, by the way? Was that series streamed?
Yeah, we had a Sanctuary stream for it. It was
Oh, it was the stream
basically
that was swapped around. Yeah, I
it was
remember.
swapping around, but the quality on the Sailors game was not that good. Like the person who was like streaming it didn't have the best PC, so it was lagging. But yeah,
Matt,
we saw the Shipex versus Brittner match.
I just want to mention, it's kind of funny that some technicalities can change the narrative so much in these votings, because a lot of teams kind of voted only after the last games were played, and the most recent memory of Shipex was the series against Eternal Blizzard, and most people, I think, didn't saw the games against Wacky Rates, and they didn't see the due to the technical, the players, the people who were watching that stream, they didn't fully see that stream. So I think Shipex kind of dodged the bullet there, and but still, I think he still deserves the All SLE first team selection.
I agree. I think everyone on here has a really good case for them. So I don't think anyone really got robbed of the first team selection. But yeah, I still think there are some people who might have had a shot at like the third team. So there are of course snubs. Basically people who missed out. I've created like my team of people who were robbed. Did you do the same?
No, I just opened up the list and the votes to see how close it was for some of these votes.
Okay, so you basically will tell us who barely made it in, or like one or two people per role that could have made it in.
Definitely, I will add my opinion to it as
Okay.
well. I feel like for top, okay, I can go lane by lane, and then you can present your team. Yeah, or the other way around. You go ahead. You go first. Go first.
Because I just made it from the top of my head, and then you can bring the facts. Okay, I will start with top lane. On top lane, I have Banarex. I think Banarex had a really good split. I think he kind of, like, people don't recognize him that much because Slim Odds are not the best team. But I think he's carrying them so hard. And last split, he didn't really get any recognition. This split, he got a bit more recognition, but still not the recognition I think he deserves. Like, he has such good games. Like where he picks Olaf or Darius, gets 15 kills, runs everyone over. So yeah, that's my top lane selection. What can you tell me about like the top lane?
Oh yeah, for top lane, there were two players that got the double-digit points. It was Banrex, exactly, who was finished fourth in the votes, and it was yours truly, not yours truly, but you, Linus, also got 11 points. So it wasn't necessarily a tight race in the top lane, as God of Hacks went third with 32 points, and then of course follower was Banrex with 19. So it was quite convincing. But I have to definitely acknowledge you two guys there as well.
Yeah,
I think there was no other names that got necessarily snubbed. That were solid seasons by other players. But like players like Benjamin, Case Mace, of course, had a solid season. Yeah, but other than that, not that much more time.
All right. Then I will go over to the jungle, and I was thinking about who was robbed in the jungle, and I think it's Robbery. I think Robbery had a really good split. He, like some people on, yeah, I know. I was thinking about if I make a joke with Robbery, but yeah. I think the Vecuvest individually had Büttner and Casemates who had a worse season than last split. I think Casemates at the beginning was really shaky. Büttner had some weaker games, but Robbery had a really good split. Like I think people maybe he, because he always plays for his team and he isn't shining that much. People kind of forget how important he is for the Vacuous playset, and that's why I have him on my basically snub SLE team.
Yeah, I can see that. Also, kind of suffered from the fact that I think some of his best games were not streamed. Always kind of these media politics coming into these votes. But from points wise, the only kind of player that was in the run for SLE third team was maybe your own jungler, by the way.
Not
He
my jungler
just
anymore. He's on
Oh, well,
necessity
you're
now.
a jungler in heart because you know
Yeah.
Black Manta connection. I always like associate him with you because I saw you both of your names next to each other due to him camping your lane all the time. But
Yeah.
he had 18 points and JL had 21, so just 3 points,
Oh,
just
that's actually really close.
one first team selection, yeah, would have changed that vote, and yeah, maybe almost got that third team. So. But I would say nobody got necessarily robbed in the jungle selections.
Yeah. All right. My mid lane selection. I was thinking about it because that player didn't play all games on mid lane, but I think Trululu should have deserved an all SLE team plays. Like I think Trululu had such great split, both on mid lane and ADC. In the end, he played more games on mid lane. That's why I put him there. I don't know if he was if you were able to vote for him in the end, but yeah, Trululu is my mid lane selection.
Yeah, Trelolo was also a name that I expected to get a lot of points, and he actually did get double-digit points. He got 14 points, but mid lane kind of voting was so close and so all over the place, especially for those second and third team selections. Barack Obama was a runaway winner with 72 points, but for that third and second team, it was very close. For example, yeah, Zerius, he kind of not kind of, but he was second team, but only with 24 points, and some other players with double-digit points were Trololo that you mentioned, were double with 11 points as well. Kim Jensen also got 12, Dot 14 points. Yeah, and Denzel was the third team with 19 points. So it was extremely close. One team voting different could have made all the difference. Another player to mention, Flo, was kind of one of the best players of the season, and I think he definitely would have finished in one of these three teams if he would have not have left Silver Phoenix this time.
Yeah, definitely. I think Flo had a really good start in the split. Of course, they had some differences, which is why they decided to part ways. But it doesn't surprise me that there are so many people who are close to the all SAE teams, like that it's so close. Of course, Barack Obama, he had a really insane split. I think it's deserved that he is number one. But everyone below that, I think Cyrus deserves number two, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he went number 4 or 5 and someone else was above it, because there were just a lot of great mid laners who are, I think, on the same level most of the time. Some have better games, some have worse games, but like in the end, like I think mid lane is really contested. So yeah, I see why. My ADC pick actually is someone who is on Solaris Ares, and it's the ADC Strophic.
Yeah.
That's my choice.
Yeah, Strophic is a very, very good player, and he's actually one of those players that between other AD carries, his name is mentioned quite a lot. So respect to you, Strophic. People, the streets will never forget your name. But other than that, yeah, going in the stats, Strophic was very close. He just trailed Sanix by 2 points, so he was almost there. Actually tied with Butner. Butner also got 18 points, almost an all-SLE selection, and anyone else other than that did not got more than 10 points. But yeah, some other. I just want to mention one thing. Shipex went first with 77 points, which was most points in any award, and he got first. He got voted first by 15 teams, and that's quite a lot. Most of SLE thought that this guy is the best ADC of the season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think Shipex is really good, and I think there's a reason why he will not be allowed next split with his. I think he's on 200 LP already in solo queue, Master 200
Oh,
LP.
that's crazy.
300. He's just climbing, and I think Shipex is really good. And this is his split. After this one, he will not be around anymore, at least not as a player.
Mhm.
So he can take it all, and I think he wants it all, and I think he could have a shot at it. But yeah, to round up my team of snubs, I have Delph of the Assassins. I was thinking a lot about it because I think there are three really good supports. You have this support elite, you have Loco, you have Jesse, and you have Eret. And I think everyone else on support is on a lower level. I think there's like a big gap between the top three and the rest. And that's why I was like thinking a lot about who to put there, but in the end I chose Delph because I think he had a really solid split on the Assassins, especially when you consider his splits on Vecchivres. In split 4, it was a bad split, I think. Like the bot lane was really weak on Vecchivres, like they were knocked out by Black Manta in that split. And in split 5, he started, and Vecchivres didn't start that well, and then he got replaced by Eret. So yeah, I have Delph on my team there.
I feel like it's such a funny thing in SLE that we have the support big three. We have Loco, Jesiah, and Elrat, and I feel like every single season all three of these guys play, they are fighting for the All SLE first team between themselves. It's like guaranteed that one of these three guys will win it, and this time as well, it was just a battle between these three guys. Nobody else was necessarily close. The closest being Mopo actually with 16 points, while Elrat had 29. And I also a little shout out to Daxon. He randomly popped up in the double digits by actually two teams giving him the first place in as the best support. I think Sorby Glacial gave him the first place as the best support in SLE and Dangerous Game. So respect to that guy. I guess he
That's
popped
the
off in
DVN
two
guy,
of those.
right? Divillion?
I think he's the support for the Villian. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess he popped up against those two teams and didn't necessarily impress any of the other teams. So I guess he's kind of that type of a player.
Yeah, that actually surprises me because I didn't feel like he's not good, but like yeah, I'm a bit surprised that he got number one because as you said, like since split 4, Loco, Eret, and Jesse are the top 3 supports. And ever since then they have just rode that way. Like of course Loco was
Yeah.
on the bench last split. And that's why he didn't really get into the awards, but still, yeah, I think that's just the top 3 of supports right now. All right, we are done with the snubs. So the next award is the Rookie of the Split. Do you want me to put that on the screen?
Yeah, let's go with the individual awards. At one per role award, one per SLE award. Yeah, Jordi, this was actually a tight race between Jordi and IFX. These two guys were getting the majority of votes. And at the end, it might not look that close. Jordi winning by 13 points with 67, while IFX got 54. But still, when I was counting it, it looked very close to the very last votes. It could have swung around, but yeah, those two guys were basically battling for the rookie award. What do you think, Linus? Does anyone else deserve some mention here?
Mm, that's actually a really good question because I feel like a lot of rookies went either like they basically played the standard SAE gameplay. Like they didn't stand out, but they also didn't have a bad split. And some rookies just like didn't really play that well. I think Zyrus of like the mid laner of DVN would be someone that you could name. I don't think that there's anyone else that I would name. I think I Won't Leash had like the ADC of Assassins had a really good start into the split, but no, he's not even a rookie, so he doesn't even count. I wanted to say that I think he dropped off a bit, but yeah, he's not a rookie. So I think Jordi and IFX are the two that I would put on there as well, like the two that I would have a discussion with myself about. So I think this is well deserved.
Only Zars and Mopo actually got more than 10 votes for the rookie of the split. Wobblebonk almost cracked the 10 points with 9. So good job.
All right. Going from the rookie to the split over to the MVP of the split. No, is this a big surprise for you?
When I was counting the points, it was a big surprise. Not gonna lie, the first 10 teams which votes I counted looked like Loco will be the first support to win win SLE MVP. But with those last votes, Shipex kind of stole it at the last possible moment, and until the very end, it looked like Jordi might be the second player to actually third player in a row. No, second player in a row to win a rookie and MVP at the same season, and it was extremely tight race for MVP. Shipex ended with 40 points, then it was closely followed by Loco with 38. And Jordi had 35. So extremely close, right down to the wire for MVP. And I feel like it really was between these three players. Actually, I feel like it was between these two, between Loco and Shipex, really.
I agree. I think both of them had a really good split. I actually have a different player on there that I think would deserve the MVP. Because for me, the MVP is not the best player. Because the best player is already on the all team. Like for me personally, on the first team, the SLE team. For me, the MVP is the player who made the biggest difference for his team. And yes, Shipex, I think, is a good candidate there. I'm not sure if I would give Logo that spot. Of course, he had a really good split, but like everyone else on his team had as well. So I'm not sure if like if he made such a big impact compared to his team. But I actually think that Banarex is someone that you could mention. Because SwimOdds last split was a team that barely made playoffs, and back then, nearly every game they won was won via Banarex. And this split, again, most games they won were won by Banarex, and they actually finished, I think, 11th it was. Oh no, 10th. They actually finished 10th, and that's why I think Banarex actually would also be someone that I would give the MVP, just because I feel like recently always the first, second, or third team in the table got the MVP.
Yeah, I see that. I hear you. There's a lot of people that have this view on the MVP award. You know, that they focus on the acronym MVP, that is most valuable player, and how can you measure value, right? It's different for every team. How big of an impact you have on that team. But for me, it's more like you definitely need to be highly winning is basically the most important thing. And as long as your team is winning, as long as you got the first thing checked out, that is the main thing. And then you qualify for the MVP kind of evaluation. And once we get past that hurdle, I feel like then we decide who is the biggest impact between all those winning teams. And Shipex definitely up there with Loco and Jordi as the players that not only shined bright individually, but also got their teams the wins that were very important. And I feel like Shipex did a great job in that.
Yeah, definitely. There was a random question that just popped into my mind, because Shipex is on Vintage and Diamond, who finished 5th in the league. You have Jordi on Assassin's Creed, who finished 4th, and you have Loco on Eternal Blizzard, who finished 1st. What about the teams that finished 2nd and 3rd? Do you think there's any MVP-worthy player on Gucci or Wacky SNC?
I mean, I feel like both of those teams had different shining stars in their wins. I feel like it was more balanced throughout those rosters, and that's why I feel like they did not get as many votes as these three guys. I feel like these three guys are kind of runaway stars for their team. Even I feel like Loco kind of was cannibalized by some of his other teammates because their team is that dominant. For example, Barack Obama got 13 points. IFX got 16 points. So some votes kind of went towards his teammates that could have been in his own pocket. So if some of those votes, if his team wasn't that strong, he would have been the MVP. But for those two teams, I would say the biggest candidate for Gucci Yin would have been Sanix, I believe, or maybe Russo. I think Sanix is the kind of most shining star for that roster. But I feel like he doesn't he's kind of cruising through the regular season. I feel like he really tunes it out for the playoffs, and I think he's not necessarily campaigning to win these awards. Of course, he likes the admiration that and likes the ego boost, but it's not that important for him. A similar case for Wacky Wraiths, that they are kind of a very team-oriented play style they have, and I feel like they definitely are hurt by that reputation in some of these individual awards. I think a player like Butner definitely would want to get one of these awards. So if there was an MVP, that would be probably one of those bot laners. But again, some of their games were not streamed as much. Some of those stream games that were streamed didn't look that good. So yeah, that's why I feel like not a lot of votes for those guys.
Yeah, very well explained. I actually don't have anything I would like to add there. I would only double the things you said. Do you want to go over
Yeah.
to the people's champion of Split 6?
Yeah, People's Champion always gets a lot of confusion. I feel like some people think that they're voting just a team that they think will win. Some people vote for players for People's Champion. So maybe it deserves another explanation. It is a sportsmanship award. It is the award that you give to the team that you really enjoyed the fact that they were participating in SLE. And this time it is Eternal Blizzard, the team that is beloved by a lot of SLE people. They have a great loud names like Shiki, who's always a pleasure to have around. God of Hacks hosting together the podcast Into the Swamp together with Shrekman himself. So definitely a player that is very liked, and I feel like the rest of the squad also were true champions of the people and great sportsmen. Which team do you, Linus, feel like you had the best time facing, like most fun time?
Most fun time facing, oh, that's actually a good one.
Hmm.
Because I know that my team voted for Eternal Blizzard, or did we vote? No, we voted for Assassin's Creed first. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, that's the team that I would put on there. Just because like there are so many storylines between my team and them. For example, Maybe and I played on a team for like 2.5 years, and now are facing each other. Then we have like Jordi and me who like face each other in the Manta Cup before multiple times. Um, then you have like the bot laner Stealth and I Won't Leash against Mopo and Pharaoh. And I just think it's a really cool matchup. The two teams were founded at the same time by like over Sanctuary, like it were the first two teams that were built over Sanctuary, not that joined Sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
So they are kind of our arch rivals, if you want it. So that's always the matchup that I'm the most hyped for. But yeah, I think Eternal Blizzard also a great team to play against. Like even if they beat you hard, it's always fun. Like the chats are really enjoyable. Like they are really friendly, and they always try to find a date where both teams can play. Like they are not so stubborn that they just go with the default day. They always try their best to make it good for everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other teams that were that did get a lot of love by the other SLE names was Peach Fish Wolf. I think that team was pretty hilarious. I loved the streams that they made. That they like kind of co-streamed with their first team being quite drunk in those games and casting some of those matchups. Those were absolutely hilarious, banger to watch, and I feel like those guys, even though they missed playoffs, even though they're in the most competitive in some of these games, I think they did bring some sunshine in our SLA lands. Other than that, Assassin's Creed also got 17 points. Black Flag Sailors got 10 points. But let me calculate. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Basically, I think it's 21 teams out of 24 that participated in this SLE season got points in this award. So let's not mention the teams that didn't. But yeah, basically everybody liked playing against everyone. Big shout outs again to Primordials, the second year in a row where they get snubbed from this award. I think they are the real people champions.
Yeah, I feel like Primordials, like they are one of the most. I think they are the only team that is playing or that has played for four consecutive splits this split. Like every other team had like either a split break or joined later, or split up like the Gucci teams. And they just kept coming back. Like last split, they didn't win a single game, and I was like, okay, they will not come back, but they still come back because they just enjoyed playing in the SLE. And I think it's really great to see that not only the teams that play for the title enjoy the SLE, but that there are also a lot of teams that actually don't even play for playoffs, or they that try their best just to get into playoffs, and that they also enjoy the league. I think that's really great to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we're done with the awards. But there's actually one more thing we have on our list, and that's the playoff picture. We want to talk about the playoffs a bit, about the matches that we have, and we will also give our prediction for the matches that are not yet played. What do you think about that?
I just want to say one last shout out about awards. Of course, let's go in the playoff predictions. But last season, Dutch was 1 point from getting the MVP award. This season, Dutch got 1 point for SLE Junglers Award. So, shout outs to our very favorite little toxic man.
Yeah, that's really rough. I feel bad for Dutch. Of course, I'm memeing him a bit and shit talking him, but like I think Dutch is a great person, a great personality.
Yeah,
of
we
the
love
SLE.
Dutch. Yeah.
I enjoyed being a substitute on his team. Actually, like he has some nice moments, even if you don't
Yeah.
expect it. But yeah, I think he will bounce back either this playoffs or next split. But yeah. All right. Let's go over to the playoffs. And this is the playoff picture. It's only the upper bracket because the teams that lose here drop down to a different bracket, but it's not important for us right now because all the teams are on here. Before we talk about the matchups that are not played yet, let's talk about the 3 matches that were already played. Starting with the first one, which was Black Flag Sailors against Silver Phoenix on Tuesday. Did you watch that match?
I didn't watch it live. I saw kind of half of game 1, and then I rewatched game 3 just before this podcast. Actually, and from the looks of it, it looked like you were single-handedly carrying that team, and I even gave you a shout out. But it was actually the whole team. I think Denzer went 8-0 in first like 10 to 12 minutes in that game 3, all important. But yeah. But have to acknowledge Silver Phoenix as well. They really showed teeth in those games. I think they are a team that still does not have the full respect from SLE, some of the SLE teams, but they gave us a good series. They almost came back in that game 3, so it was quite a kind of a banger. A series that definitely would be fine to see 3 games. But well done, Linus. That closing pentakill was a moment to remember.
Yeah, thank you. It was actually my first pentakill in the SLE.
Oh, was it? That's crazy.
Yeah, I've made some quarter kills, but like not a penta yet. But yeah, I think Silver Phoenix they deserve a lot of respect because they were the underdogs in that series. And they showed up. Like game 1, they were losing at some point, but they came back and they won. And I think even in game 2 and game 3, where they had a really rough time, they still were fighting back. They were like trying to get their advantages. So yeah, I'm really excited to see them against either Becky Vress or Vitted and Pearl next week.
Yeah, but I just want to say they got like a good matchup for the top line, like the Gwen against Orton in the game 1, and then in game 2 and 3 they kind of shied away from it, and I feel like Gwen was really performing well in that game 1. Even solo killed you up there, and I feel like they kind of maybe dropped the ball in the draft by not getting him a stronger matchup in that game 2 and 3.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to beat the Black Flag Sailors if you just counterpick top lane. Who knows? But yeah, Waynham, I think especially the Gwen game was really good. So I agree on that shout out. But yeah, the second game that we had was Solaris Ares against Slimouts yesterday. Did you watch that game?
Again, watched bits and pieces of it. I'm super happy that Slimouts picked up their first win in SLE. In SLE playoffs. Last time they got eliminated quite quickly by the Rival Lynx squad. This time taking the game 1 and going up 1-0, but Solar Sailors then showed that they are one of a dark horse, you can say, in these playoffs. That they have their eyes on that SLE top SLE places. even I think they have a small percent chance to win the whole thing. So yeah, they took it down. They turned in their clutch genes and yeah, closed out that one.
Yeah, I've actually watched the first and the second game. I had my own game at the being played at the third one, but I looked at it from time to time. I was actually really surprised by the first game where Slimmos was just like dominating Solaris because I thought Slimmos are the underdogs, and in the end they were the underdogs. Same as with the Silver Phoenix Black Flag Sailors series, the underdogs started with a win, and then after that the other team kind of was like, no, we are not losing this first match. And Solaris Ares also did that, especially I think the second game was it where I think they killed bot lane, they killed mid lane, they killed the jungler. The whole game was already 3k down, while Banarex was like just chilling on top lane with Aatrox against Urgot, and then they TP'd with 2 people top, they ganked top, they 4-manned him at minute 9 or something, and after that the game was done. Like I think they dropped down 20k gold, and it was just a shame. But I'm excited to see both Slimmods in the lower bracket and Solaris Ares in the upper bracket, because I think Solaris Ares could be really good if they play their best game. But yeah, we
Definitely.
had a second series yesterday as well, which was DVN Infinity against Ragnarok. Ragnarok, as the lower seed, went 2-0 over DVN. Did you watch that game, or also only bits and pieces?
Of course, I watch my Ragnarok boys. They are my adopted son of SLE, and I feel like in games like these, it really showed up the experience that this team has. They have played together a lot, and yeah, last time. This is what I'm talking about. These guys can be the underdogs. These guys can be the favorites, but they can show up a complete different roster in some of these games. Not roster literally, but the way they play. I feel like DVN was the favorites going into this game. One of teams that a lot of people kind of feared in the SLE right now. But yeah, Ragnarok showing up that they are a force to be reckoned with, and I feel like last time we saw them in playoffs, they got knocked out in the first round 3-0, but this time they showed up with their own sweep, and they are exactly that. They are a team that can beat anyone. Will they show up? That's a different question.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch the series actually, but I saw like the screenshots. So yeah, I last split actually Ragnarok was the higher seed. Like they were seventh seed, I think, and they played against the Greasy Goblins and got completely clapped by the Goblins. This time they are the lower seed and they beat the upper seed, so they turned it around. Of course, next week they will most likely face Eternal Blizzard, or they will face a Black Lotus team that just took down Eternal Blizzard. So either way, it's a really rough next week. Do you actually think they can do it? Like, do you think they can actually make it to the semifinals?
I feel like they have the chances are low. Of course, I will be the first one to recognize it, but they have the surprise factor, and I feel like they have bigger chance to take down Eternal Blizzard than DVN would have. Even though in that matchup I felt like DVN Infinity is the favorite, but I would say they have better chance against Eternal Blizzard than some of the more conventionally better teams. So I'm excited to see that game, and it will be an absolute banger if it happens. Of course, Black Lotus can take down Eternal Blizzard. There is like a 1% chance there as well. Right?
Yeah, let's go over to that match actually. Eternal Blizzard against Black Lotus, first against 16th seed. Maybe before we talk about that one, we can talk about the first game in playoffs, the last splits. In split 3, Gucci Gaming basically went. I think you went like 14-2 or 12-2. You lost 2 games in the regular season. You became the first seed, and then you played against Primordials, I think, right?
Yeah,
playoffs?
that was against Primordials, who just had won the Division 2. We had a little bit different playoff picture back then, and yeah, we 2-0'd them in quite a competitive series. Those were not the same Primordials we remember from last couple of seasons. Those were before pre roll swap Primordials. which a team who took down teams like I think Wacky Waits. They defeated. What was the duo's team? I don't remember.
Dolly 5.
Dolly 5. Yeah, they took out. I think they took down Dolly 5 in one of those matchups. They were definitely a respectable team. They took down Eternal Blizzard in the plains. They had a strong roster. Then in season 4, it was Snackpack being the first.
Yeah,
And
Snackpack.
did they got through the first round?
No, they basically skipped the first round because they got a bye week, and they chose to play against Kakapo Adax, the team of JL, the Italian squad, and they lost 2-1. And then they dropped down to the lower bracket where they played against CCG Muffins. CCG Muffins just eliminated Black Manta in the week before, so the sister team
Yeah.
of Snackpack, and then they just eliminated Snackpack as well. So yeah, that didn't
Oh
work
yeah,
out
they
so
were
well
the
for the
Sanctuary
first seed.
Killers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. That was quite a collapse there in the playoffs. And then in season 5, we had Revel Lynx completely dominated Slimans at the first round, and then got eliminated themselves by Wacky Wraiths in one of the biggest upsets and comebacks of all time in SLE. So this time, Eternal Blizzard, how do you feel about this roster?
I mean, they look so dominant, but Revelings also looked so dominant. Snackpack, I don't feel like they looked so dominant in Split 4, but they looked really consistent. And that's why they won the regular season title. I would be really surprised if Eternal Blizzard even drops one game to Black Lotus. I feel like it's just a really big skill gap, like both individually and the macro is just on a different level. So I just feel like this will be a 3-0 for Eternal Blizzard.
2-0, right? Most likely.
2-0.
And,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's even a bad matchup for the Black Lotus. I feel like the champions that Gloomy is the best at are kind of countered by the champion pool of Barack Ogama. Barack Ogama being the best SLE mid laner right now, I feel like it would take a big overperformance by Black Lotus to even take a game, and we won't even talk about 2 games. So, but I feel like it's not a completely dust, like not 100% no chance. I feel like they have an upset potential. We have seen this team play very well. They did destroy Wacky Waits in one of those preseason games last season, so they can show up, but I don't think that they will.
Yeah, same.
2-0, I agree.
2-0, yeah. Going over to the next match, which is Assassins and Greed SLC against Shaka Bantu.
Yeah, problem with this matchup is that I feel like Assassins and Greed are in kind of a good form. They have shown steady form throughout the season, while I feel like Shaka Bantu have kind of went down in their form. They are struggling a lot. I see that McLaren's is not too confident in his team in Twitch chat as well. So I don't feel the confidence from this squad. I know that they have a lot of fans in SLE, but Assassins and Greed I feel like absolutely dominate them.
Yeah, I mean, I had high hopes for Shaka Bantu before the split. I viewed them. I think I put them on number 6 in my power ranking in the first one, because I just felt like they are a contender. They are not a top 5 team, but like directly after that. And I feel like Shaka Bantu is also one of the teams that disappointed more than they did anything to cheer for, or that anything to celebrate. They had a lot of 1-1s. And I just feel like they are the underdog here. If Shaka Bantu can actually, like, if Michi Darko Memnon on top lane has like a pop-off game, if the rest of the team plays stable, I think there is maybe an angle where they can win games. But I feel like this is also pretty done and dusted for them. I think this will be a 2-0 for Assassin's Creed.
Now, if they show up, they can take games. If Mishi has one of those amazing cities on his signature picks, if he was one of those gangplank games, right, they can take them down, of course. But I feel like Assassin's Creed just show too much of a steady and controlled gameplay to be shook by Shaka Bantu's aggression.
Yeah, definitely. Going over to the next match, which is another one of those teams that looked good at the beginning and then kind of went to one of the lower teams. Dangerous game against Vintage and Diamond. Maybe I can start with this one. I feel like Vintage and Diamond is one of the best teams. I mean, of course they are. They got top 5, but I also think that Dangerous Game has a lot of potential. I think like the team, they are the one that's closest to the Elo border. They have Shy City on top lane, who's a really, really good top laner. Had some bad games in between the split, but overall there was still good. He was still good top laner. Then you have I Play, You Listen. You have Lurks. You have veterans on that team who are not that who know how it is to get far in the tournament. So I feel like this is actually pretty close. I think Dangerous Game can actually win here, but I think it will be a 2-1 for Vintage and Diamond. What do you think?
Yeah. What this Dangerous Game team was? What was the org that they kind of inherited their place in SLE from? What was the name of that team?
You mean
They
Enlan
also had
Esports?
Oppression. What?
Enlan. It was Enlan.
Yeah, Enline. I feel like for me, it still has the Enline vibes for me. I know some of these guys, they are actually quite active in Gucci server. Lovely people. Everybody loves Lurks, but from what I've heard, this team is very near implosion, and I feel like again we have a team that is hard and steady and like has their eyes on the prize, Vintage and Diamond, and then we have a team that is kind of struggling a lot lately, and from what I heard, is not in the best kind of friendship moment with the team. So yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a dominant 2-0 by Sheepex and the gang.
All right. Yeah. Going over from Diamond against Dangerous Game to the next game. Becky Bress against Vintage Pearl. It's basically a rematch because Vintage Pearl is the successor. Of course, Vintage split up, but this team, Pearl, is the follow-up team to the Vintage team of Split 5. They met in the pre-final of the lower bracket. Vintage got fourth, being eliminated in a really close matchup by Vekivres, the matchup that also ended Devouser's SLE career. So how do you feel about this split? I think it's actually a banger matchup for the first round.
Oh, I agree. I think when we talk about the matchup of the round, this one is the one that had people circling around, right? Vintage and Pearl against Rocky Rates, the return of the final four during last split, and I think if Vitagen has the time to prepare, if they have the resources to come in here with the expectations and with the talent that they have, they can absolutely upset Wacky Waits, and I will go as far as to say that they will do that, and they will 2-0 Wacky Waits, sending them down to the losers bracket, where Wacky Waits will definitely deal damage. But this round is Vitagen. I believe in my boy Dutch, and I think they can take down this favorite of the season.
That's a call. I mean, considering that you put Becky Bress as the winner before.
Yeah. I think they will come back from the losers bracket.
Okay, got it. I feel like Pearl is a really good team. I feel like they are kind of a fake 15th seed, kind of like last split when Snackpack got 15th. Like Snackpack was tied for first at week 6, and then their main jungler went to China for 3 weeks, and they played with a substitute, and they lost, I think, every single game, and they dropped down to 15. And then he came back, and they nearly kicked off Vitagen in the first round of playoffs, which would have been a huge upset. So I feel like Vitagen pose that as well. Like they are a fake 15th seed. Like they are 15th, but they should be higher. So I also see this as a really interesting and close match. But I don't see I don't see Per being consistent enough to match Veki Vress. I feel like this will be a 2-1 win for Veki. But I wouldn't be surprised if Per pops off and gets a win here, actually. Of course, I actually would love to see Veki Vress win, just because I would get my match with Veki Vress. I would match with Elred, but I would also love to play against Pearl next round because
Yeah, the team
I've
that
been
benched you.
I've been substitute on that team. I got some flame by my team captain back then, by Dutch, but
The
yeah.
great revenge.
But yeah, going over from this banger series in the first round to the second series, which I think is a complete banger for the first round, which is Gucci Yin against Snackpack. What are your thoughts about this match?
I mean, Kuchiyin, the returning champion, starting the defense in the playoffs. I would say they are definitely a favorite in this, and I think that the historic vibes of this matchup are great, right? Gucci Yin and Snackback both both of the one of the biggest names in SLE history, huge legacies for both of these squads. But for Snackback, I have to start. I always rate this team highly, but I have to start calling things, calling colors the way they show. Snackback, let's look at the run that they have had in these couple of seasons and years, right? Did win SLE regular season championship in season 4. Okay, that's the high point. Then they get quickly eliminated in the playoffs. Then in season 5, they just make the playoffs in SLE. In playoffs, they get instantly eliminated by Vitagen. Then they go to the Manta Cup, where they perform somewhat decent, but still go only 4th, losing to the remade the Black Manta squad in their last facing with each other for that 3rd place. And now they again just barely make the playoffs here in SLE season 6. How many of disappointments this team need to be kind of acknowledged as a mid to bottom tier team right now? I feel like we have to start looking at Snackpack in more of a modern light and say that they are definitely an underdog in this matchup.
Yeah, they definitely are. I agree on that. I feel like the roster could still perform. Like they have really good players. I feel like Evo and Sushi Killer are
Yeah.
in the top 5 on their role, maybe even top 3. I feel like Sushi Killer in some games, especially on Oriana, he might be even the best mid laner. And I feel like the whole roster is good, but they are just not clicking. Like for me, maybe the term the sick man of the SLE would be fitting because theoretically they should be good, but they are just like coughing up and just like not performing. I have some inside view on the team that I'm not gonna share here, just because I'm really close to them. But I know that there are a lot of problems brewing under the surface, which basically pull this team down. I would love to see them basically getting back up, which I'm not sure if they are able to. But yeah, they are the underdog here. But maybe this is the series. Maybe they got their shit together in the last week, and maybe this is the series where they are back. They clap Gucci in, and they go to the winners bracket final. Maybe not, but I mean, there's the possibility. It's the SLE. Like no one here is a challenger player. Like everyone makes mistakes. Even the best team makes a lot of mistakes. So you just need to punish those mistakes. I feel like.
Yeah, I think Snackback kind of, if they have another disappointing postseason here in SLE, they are nearing the implosion moment. I feel like I would love to have the name of Snackback around, stay around, maybe rebuild around one of the players. But we saw actually Black Manta here having a lot of success by blowing that roster up, right? We say every single one of almost every single one of those players kind of performing really well in this season. Denzer and you on the Black Flag, Elrat with the wacky weights, and of course maybe I think on the Assassins and Greed squad. So yeah, I think that the players are good. Exactly what you say. Nobody thinks that those players are bad, but they're just not winning together. That's the problem, and that's the main goal of any team, right?
Yeah, maybe the problem for them is like that they play together for such a long time because I always had the feeling at Black Manta that with every month or every year that we played, because we played together for nearly 3 years, which is a long time compared to most SAE teams who form for just one split. I feel like with every split you play, with every month you play, it just gets harder and harder to solve problems. You get into your rhythm and it's just I feel like it's hard to innovate. I feel like Snackpack is playing their same play style for like 2 years, and everyone has figured it out. And it's also not modern anymore. It's not the modern play style. And to be fair, the roster is together for over 5 years. Of course, Priorcon coming in, but like the rest of them, they played together for such a long time. And maybe you're right. Maybe the right call would be to build the roster, or maybe split the roster into two teams or whatever. Um, we will see how they choose to continue. That's their decision, of course. We only talk as outsiders here. But yeah, I think we can come to our guesses for this match. I think it will be a 2-0 for Guccian. I think
Yeah,
one of the
yeah, I
games will
agree.
be really close. It will be like a 45 minutes, because Snackpack always has those games, like 45, 50 minutes, really close, and then in the end they blow it or they win. I think there will be at least one of those games as well today, but I think like it will be 2-0 still.
Yeah, I have to agree. But I want to ask you. We have like a great historical matchups here in the Wacky Weights against Pearl, right? And we have the Gucci against Snakepack. Maybe not a big rivalry between those two teams, but still a great historical matchup. What other big matchups would we love to see in the playoffs?
Oh, that's a good one. I feel like maybe Solaris Aris against Gucci Yin would also be really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like a banger for the upper bracket semi-final of the upper half would be Vintage and Diamond against Eternal Blizzard.
Yeah,
On one
that's the
side,
one that I'm looking at. Yeah.
yeah, on one side because it was such a great game last split. Not last split, in the regular season, it was such a great matchup. But also because Vitagen has been one of the greatest orgs, but they took a break in split 3. And that was the split where Eternal Blizzard was there. And I feel like they should have a rivalry. There should be an EB Vitagen rivalry. And that's why I want to see them in the upper bracket. Is there any particular matchup that you look at?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. The C1 that matchup was huge. If any of the teams won't spoil it for us, but yeah, the Vintage and Diamond against the Eternal Blizzard, and those two teams are kind of a little bit related as well, right? With Loco being the player for Vitagen when they won the championship, Ichi there as well, a sub for Eternal Blizzard. So those two orgs are kind of they're not necessarily rivals, but they're kind of have lots of overlapping players, and I feel like they will definitely have a huge pleasure in the defeating each other. Another one, of course, for me is you with the Black Flag. Whoever you're getting in that round 2 in that B3 matchup, Wacky Weights or Vintage and Pearl, that is a banger of a story. You facing against Casemates or you facing against Ant or whoever is playing top lane for Vintage and Pearl these days. A banger matchup again there. Both of these teams have a lot of storylines against you specifically. Other than that, again, if Vintage and Pearl and Gucci Yin are able to go all the way to C2 matchup, that would be a huge matchup as well. The SLE El Clasico, Vintage and flagship, kind of historically flagship team against Gucci's flagship team right now in SLE. That would be a great matchup, as well as Wacky Weights going all the way to the CC2 if they're going to face off against Yin. Of course, if Yin does their part, that would be a replay of last season's finals. That would be an absolute incredible matchup as well. So lots of these games, and of course, if we will get all the way to the winners finals, if Gucci and Blizzard go all the way to that one. Gucci is currently the only team, Gucci Yin is the only team in SLE that holds a winning record during this regular season against Eternal Blizzard. Of course, there's a lot of asterisks to that one because Eternal Blizzard did forfeit one game and the other one was played with lots of subs. So that result is maybe a little bit fake. Still, statistically, the Gucci Yin having the winning matchup there. So yeah, those are some of the ones. Maybe some other. Maybe while I was yapping here, maybe you have some other ones to acknowledge.
I actually don't have any other ones, but I think you made some great additions there to our list. Of course, Gucci Yin against Veki Rest, the rematch of the finals last split. That would be a banger. Gucci Yin against Vintage and Pearl, JL against Dutch, also a banger matchup.
Oh
For
yeah,
me personally, if I just look at me individually, of course, playing against Vision Pearl, again playing against Ant, you mentioned it, the player that I was a substitute of, or playing against Vecchi Res against Kates Mace, the player who was my substitute. It just like I've been on the team with both of those top laners, so it's really exciting to see, like to play against them. But I also feel like Black Flag Sailors against Gucci Yin could be really interesting, just because it's like for a long time you had like Linus losing to Yin, Denza losing or to Chi, Denza losing to
yeah.
Chi, and then this split in the regular season, Gucci Yin was actually taken down in the first Super Week. I think a
Oh
big
yeah, yeah.
surprise to many, even to me. Like I was thinking I will get smacked so hard, and in the end we won. And I feel like Guccian wants to redo that. Like I feel like they are not happy with that series and they want to come back and basically beat the crap out of me like it was always the history of me versus or of BLM, like says whatever against Gucci. So I think that could also be a really interesting one. But yeah.
Yeah. Also want to mention if like a few more here, maybe less historically huge. Vintage and Diamond against Dangerous Game, right? We have the highest ranked top laner in SLE in a solo queue against the lowest ranked top laner, if I'm not mistaken, in SLE. So that's kind of a top line matchup to watch. Basically, a platinum player against a masters player they're facing off. But the last time we saw a platinum player face off against Gala Hacks, the platinum player gave Mr. Hacks a little bit of a spanking. So let's hope the Shy City does not fall to the same fate. And also, if Dangerous came, will somehow take down the Vintage and Diamond and Assassin's Creed, take down Shaka Bantu. We have Yordi against Shy City. And tell me if that is not one of the most hype top line 1v1s that we could have in SLE here.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I would love to see that one. I think we saw them in the regular season as well. Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
1, 2, and 0 there. But I feel like Dangerous Game was also I think Shy City was only playing in the second game. He was also playing with legs, if I'm correct. Because his client was not working. So I want to see them back. I actually have one more matchup for a Dangerous Game that I would love to see. It's more likely in the lower bracket, but I would love to see it in the upper bracket as well, which would be Dangerous Game against Guccian. And you want to know why? Just because it's Lurks against Sanex. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
just like they are one of the most historic bot lanes together. They are the duo. They went on the Randy podcast together. Like it's Lurks and Sanex, right? Lurks runs down Sanex. Sanex tries to carry it. They flame Lurks. Lurks ins even more, and it's just I would love to see them play against each other.
Absolutely, yeah. That friendly frenemies, kind of vibe. Both of those guys, big friends. I think they have played together in multiple teams, but this time split apart. But still, both in the SLE playoffs, both in the opposite brackets. So I doubt that we will get that matchup. There's a low chance of that happening. Still, everyone would love to see that.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add, or is is this it for you? Like, is there anything else you want to add to this playoffs picture?
I actually wanted to ask you one question about season overall. So, we have team like, for example, the Black Lotus. Last season, they went ninth, if I remember correctly, in the regular season. This time, they barely made playoffs. A lot of people say that they got lucky for getting that 2-0 against Primordials at the end of it, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel like some of these results make it look like this season overall was it even more competitive and more like kind of higher level than the previous one?
About the higher level one, I'm not. If you mean with higher level, like higher level of gameplay, then I think not. Just because we intentionally tuned down the top teams a bit to make the league more close, and I think we
Mm-hmm.
succeeded at that. I think it was such an interesting split. Like a lot of teams that could go up with like the top teams. Like maybe Eternal Blizzard was a bit the standout. But a lot of teams that finished in the top 5, top 6 lost to teams that finished barely above the playoff limit, like the playoff branch.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I feel like it was really interesting. You nearly had no stomps in the whole split. Like, of course, you had some, especially in League 1 and 2, but like there were a lot of close matchups, a lot of close series, and I feel like that was a really great split. I actually got a lot of feedback for the Edo border, the Edo barrier that we put in, and it was completely positive. Like people really enjoyed it. They felt like it was a really interesting split so far. And yeah, how do you think about that? Do you see that differently?
I have kind of I thought about it actually, and I feel like the ELO changes kind of forced some roster changes, and some of the players that would have played like in one team together and created one of these super teams, they went and they were like kind of placed in some of these like maybe a little bit lower tier teams, but they kind of upgraded the level of that team. It takes only one player to completely improve the level of a team, and I feel like we saw some of that here. I feel like the teams, maybe the very top teams, are not as strong as it was in last season. For example, Gucci Yin is a team that last season was feared and widely respected by a lot of SLE followers and players, but. I feel like the teams from maybe more like 5th to 16th, I feel like they are better than they were last season. They are not only individually better, they show better gameplay, and some of the returning squads as well, like Ragnarok, like Solar Series, Slim Odds, Sailor Phoenix. I feel like all of them are better than they were last season, and so in a way, I would say that this is a stronger SLE season than the previous one.
Yeah, I can feel that take. Probably a weaker peak, but a stronger overall body of the league. Overall lineup of teams. I definitely see that. One thing I want to add to Gucci Yin, after that I don't really have anything else to add. But Gucci Yin last split felt like this, in quotation, super team. They were just like really good. Like everyone on that roster was really good, and of course it still is that way. But last split, I felt like there were like one or two teams that could ever get a series off of Guccian, which was in my eyes it was Vitigen, Pearl, and Becky Res. And in the end, both failed. Guccian went and got the title, even though it was really close at the end. This split, I feel like Guccian is still one of the top teams. It's still a great roster. Like they got Ruzu in, who's like really good on top lane. They kept JL and they kept Kim Jensen. Then they got Sanix in, who's like one of the most historic SLE bot laners. Players of course also. I think he played on jungle in Red Team 1, won the regular season there.
Yeah.
And I feel like this Gucci roster still is one of the top teams, but it's not that teams go up against Gucci and are like, yeah, okay, this is auto lost. Like we don't win this. I feel like a lot of teams have hope now, and I think that speaks for the fact that a lot of those middle teams are actually stronger. They are closer to the top teams, which is actually what you mentioned. So yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. And I feel like yeah, Eternal Blizzard is the favorite, but after that, I feel like we have some solid 10 teams that have like a shot at winning the SLA title.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, and I'm really excited to see the next weeks. Um, both as an admin, as a viewer, and also as a player. Of course, I'm playing with my own team. I'm really excited to see what we can do if we will just troll the whole thing and just lose the next two matches and are out, or if we can actually play our peak League of Legends and go far into the tournament. Um, but yeah, do you have anything else to add? Because otherwise, I would say we go into a break. In half an hour, we have the Gucci in against Snackpack matchup.
Yeah, not that much more to add. Congratulations to all SLE award winners. You will go down in SLE history and legacy as being your names being written in the award room. And yeah, congratulations on that. I will try to update that stats, the overall stat sheet this weekend as well, or next week. So look forward to that. See where you rank after this regular season, and yeah, thanks for yet another brilliant regular season, and good luck to everyone in playoffs. Go win that SLE title.
Yep. Yep. thank you to everyone who's like taking part in the SLE as players, as content creators, as viewers, as shit talkers in the shit talk channel, in the shit post channel. Thank you to everyone who makes the SLE part of makes the SLE what it is right now. And yeah, thank you, Mikas, that you joined me here, or that you let me join you here. The MVP awards are your thing. I always love to do those streams with you together. But yeah, I don't have anything else. Do you want to have final words for today?
No, they did my final words. Let's go, Gucci in, take down Snakepack.
All right, let's go, Sanctuary. Snakepack, you can do it. I believe in you.
There
And
we
yeah,
go. There we go.
everyone have a great evening.